Alright, today I'm listening to a piece called Huapango for Orchestra by José Pablo Moncayo. This is our first Moncayo piece in any of our series. So I'm also going to go over the composer's bio a little bit before we get into the listening today. This edition is Ediciones Mexicanas de Música, which I think also published the Mario La Vista string quartet scores that we were looking at months ago. Yeah, here's the first page of the score. The first thing you hear is timpani on a low G, and it looks like the instrumentation. If this first page is complete, the instrumentation would be 2 1 2 1 4 3 2 or 4 3 3 1, and then timpani, percussion looks like guiro, maracas, tamburo indiano, bass drum, and claves, and xylophone, and harp, and strings. Okay, just scrolling through it, I think there's actually double winds at least. So let's say there's 2 flutes on this staff, 2 oboes on this staff, and 2 clarinets on this one, 2 bassoons. It should be more like 3 2 3 2. I'm trying to see when this was composed. The copyright for the score is 1950. And we don't get an indication at the end by the composer. Looks like it was composed in 1941. And here's the man himself. So Moncayo was born in 1912 and lived a very short life, dying in 1958. He was not only a Mexican composer, but a pianist, percussionist, and conductor. And he is one of the big Mexican nationalists in the art music world, along with Sylvester of Hueltas and Carlos Chavez. Huapango, the piece we're looking at, is his best known piece, and it's a short orchestral arrangement of popular dances from the eastern state of Veracruz. And sometimes American orchestras play it. He was a conductor for 10 years, from 1944 to 1954, and an orchestra conductor at that. So who knows what he would have accomplished if he hadn't died so prematurely. His death coincides with the decline of the nationalist movement in Mexico, resulting from the demise of the ideals of the Mexican Revolution. So I guess he's sort of an interesting historical figure in that way. If you look at his list of works, they sort of start around 1931. Most of them are for very traditional ensembles, and he seems to be writing like 1 to 3 pieces a year, sometimes 4. And the last pieces he composed were both solo piano pieces. So this piece kind of falls in the more early period of his career, I think. Okay, I think I've waxed on enough about it. I can't imagine there's much more to say. Yeah, I don't think this piece has its own Wikipedia page because it's not really significant enough. But there is this recording by Under the Baton of Gustavo Dudamel. So I think we can have a nice little listening session here. It's only 8 minutes, so a little bit shorter than the Chavez piece we listened to a couple days ago. This recording is linked in the video description to save you a little bit of time. Okay, yeah, I think this is a must listen. It's pretty hard not to smile when hearing it. To sort of give some context here, this is I'm recording this on a Friday, so I've just had a long week, but this is still very invigorating. I'm finding, despite how much I could be taking a nap right now, and yeah, looking at the score was a real pleasure as well. Being able to see how everything's orchestrated and laid out. And yeah, it is a little bit repetitive, but it has a couple transitions in there that are a bit more sophisticated. It has a slower section with that oboe solo. So I think there's enough there to chew on that it's sort of serviceable as like a romantic piece. And I think it's interesting that so much of it is just repetition of this same melody, which isn't quite square. It's all in 6/8, and fast, but it's not exactly a square phrase structure, and I think that's what sort of helps keep your attention throughout the piece. Fantastic harp part. I think if I was a harpist, I would love to get to play this, and I also think the percussion are having fun with it. The bassoon part seems pretty important too, and obviously the brass throughout is exciting. Very straightforward. Like, we've listened to some Revueltas and some Chavez so far in the series, and I don't think either of those pieces were as straightforwardly just like folk setting, like setting of folk songs. So this very much feels just like Mexican nationalist music, and there's nothing fancy about it. But I think if you are trying to do something like this, like set folk songs or cultural songs for orchestra, I think you kind of have to listen to this. Just to see how it's done. I mean, Moncayo is drawing from a very rich tradition and of like folk music, and he has a lot to work with in that sense. Not only with the melodies, but also the types of orchestration and the way he can play with the orchestra and the different components of it. And having listened to a lot of even more modernist Mexican scores on the channel, I can say that this type of orchestration has influenced other Mexican composers in the way that they approach orchestration. I don't want to go on a big tangent, but I'll just leave it at that. Like, I think this is very has left a very lasting impact on Mexican composers. So I'm glad that it's here on my PC, so to speak. Next we have our first Luigi Nono score. I've mentioned Luigi Nono a number of times because he's such a prolific teacher of other composers, but we're going to be looking at an orchestra piece by him.